Hey guys, it's Luke from Mix It Made Simple, and today I want to be talking about LUFS, or LUFS, which is the standard unit of measurement when it comes to measuring the loudness of your music. First, I want to talk about how the levels that you should be aiming for should really be based off your genre and what other professionals in your genre are going for, and not based on what Spotify does, or, if Spotify is going to turn your music down to -14 LUFS or something like that, then, why should I go any louder? That's nonsense. I want to talk about that. And I'm going to show you some real examples from some actual pros in a few different genres. And I think that'll really help to know what you should be aiming for when mastering your own music, or if you have your music mastered by a mastering engineer. Before we get started, if you're a music producer and you're a beginner or you're intermediate and you're just struggling to mix your music, maybe you're just struggling with understanding mixing in general, or you've been producing for a while and you're just not mixing your tracks in a way that's getting them to that professional level sound, go ahead and look in the description below. There's a link where you can book a Zoom call with me. I'm actually working on a mixing course right now, and I'm interviewing music producers to try to get feedback. That way I can make the best course possible. It's going to be really in depth. I've had several calls so far and they've gone really well. And if you're seeing this in the future, it's possible that this course already exists. So go ahead and book a call and we can discuss getting you enrolled and just really get you good at mixing as fast as possible. Okay, so in case you don't know, LUFS, or LUFS, stands for Loudness Unit Relative to Full Scale. And basically it's just a way of measuring loudness that takes in electrical signal intensity and human perception into account. And so it's like the most accurate way that we can measure loudness, essentially. To be completely honest, I don't know exactly how it works, but I do know what numbers that you need to shoot for when it comes to your music. And one of the reasons I'm making this video is because I follow a few music production subreddits, and if you log in, I think at least once a day you'll see someone posting like, hey, I don't know what loudness level to master my music to. Spotify is going to turn it down to -14 LUFS, so does that mean I should only master to -14? And the quick answer is no, and here's why. Okay, so when you master something, and say if you have a bass track and you master it to extremely loud, -4 LUFS, which you should do if that's the genre of music you're making. You should just do what everyone else in your genre is doing. If you do that, it's going to be not very dynamic. It's going to be really loud. It's going to be really in your face. It's not going to be that dynamic. And all Spotify is going to do, say if this is your track and you've squashed it down like this, and so it's extremely loud and not very dynamic, all that Spotify will do is take the entire track and lower it down to -14, essentially normalizing it with all the other music on Spotify. But the dynamic range is going to stay the same. So if you make a bass track and you only master it to -14 LUFS, it won't make sense because every other track in that genre is still going to be mastered to -4 or -6, -4 LUFS. So meanwhile, you'll have your bass track that's too dynamic. There's too much range in there. It's not as hard hitting. And meanwhile, every other professional, they still master theirs to -4, and it's, and so the Spotify thing really just doesn't matter. I've even seen replies to posts before where it kind of go the opposite way, where they'll say, hey, it's EDM music and you should just master everything to -5 or -4 LUFS or whatever, which I also heavily disagree with, because as you'll see in a second, even in EDM music, it's very genre dependent. In a second, we're going to go ahead and jump in the DAW, and I'm going to show you 4 different examples of different genres. 3 are EDM, and 1 is actually an indie track that was actually mastered surprisingly louder than I expected. I wanted to grab a random non-EDM track to use as an example because I figured, oh, it's not going to be mastered as loud. But actually, it was mastered fairly loud as well. And this is like an acoustic track, with soft vocals and everything like that. So I'm going to show you that example. So let's go ahead and jump the DAW, and we'll listen to the examples right now. And for whatever genre of music you make, you can do this yourself. Go on Beatport, purchase one of your artist's favorite tracks, throw it into your DAW of choice, and then put like a Uline loudness meter on there, and then see what LUFS they're hitting. And then you can see for yourself, and then that's what you should be shooting for when it comes to your own music. Anyways, let's jump in the DAW right now. Okay, so we have 4 examples here, and unfortunately, when I play them, you're not going to be able to hear the audio. I don't want to deal with the YouTube copyright claims or anything like that, so But you can still visually see, I've got Uline loudness meter here. And the examples I'm using are, I got melodic dubstep, Seven Lions, Ocean. I've got this Marsh track called Blue. So he's an Anjuna Deep artist. And that's like this particular track is like I think you would call it like two-step or something. It's not 4/4, or it's 4/4, but it's like a halftime track. And then we have this Yours Vorn remix called Safe, and that one's an interesting one, which we'll get to in a second. And then we have this track, and this is the indie acoustic track that I really like the artist Lizzie McAlpine, and I was trying to find one of her songs on this website, but you couldn't, because I was trying to buy like a high quality wave, but you couldn't. You could only buy her songs like by the album. And so I found this one though by someone named Tom Rosenthal featuring her, and it's like a acoustic, kind of soft acoustic indie track. And that one I found interesting, and we'll get to that one in a second. But first, let's go ahead. I'm going to play a little bit of this Oceans, and then we'll take a look at the LUFS and see what's going on. And I'm going to start a little bit ahead. I'll start right here. If you look at the waveform, it's like the very first verse, and there's not, like you can see, it's the waveform's skinny right there. There's not much going on, but you'll see how quickly that it shoots up to like -5 LUFS. And then let's go ahead and take a look. So bass just came in right here. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I'm going to go skip to the drop. You can see the drops right here. Okay, so you can see it's just getting past, like, it's just jumping past -4 LUFS, and that makes sense. It's a Seven Lions track. He's like a big melodic dubstep guy. He makes psytrance sometimes. It's very like epic, in your face. Like, it's not like the craziest bass music like some of those artists, but clearly it's mastered really loud, and that works for him. So let's jump to the next track. And so this one's cool, and I'll show you the waveform. You can see that this was mastered in a way, or let's jump. You look at the Seven Lions track, right? It's mastered to where it's really thick, and then the waveform is getting, it's not super smashed, but you can see that those little transients are cut off a little bit. And then this one, the Mars track, I'm just going to skip ahead to like the loudest section around here, and you can see that a lot of the transients are preserved during the mastering, which is nice. And let's go ahead and skip ahead, and I'm going to play it. So there's a vocal playing right here, and it's kind of like the loudest section. So you can see that it's getting up around 7, doesn't go past -7. So this is more of like a chill track, Like I said, I've heard people say that all EDM should be mastered super loud. This is loud, but it's not like extremely loud. Definitely not as nearly as loud as that Seven Lions track. And then this one's interesting. So this is, and I'm going to jump ahead to the drop section. This is that Yours Vorn, and this guy's, really popular artist. Melodic techno. This is kind of a chill track, and if you look at it, it's mastered in a way where all the transients are preserved. And if you look even close, like you can see, compared to like the Seven Lions track, if you look at the waveform, it's skinnier for sure. And watch when I play it, it doesn't get that loud. So let's go ahead and play it. This is the loudest part of the track, and you can see it's barely getting past -9 LUFS. And this is one of the most popular melodic techno artists like at the time right now. Okay, so it's just getting up to like -8. And so there you go. And then lastly, we have this, and I'll kind of see if I can find what would be like the loud part, but I'll just play at the beginning. But this is really interesting. So this is this acoustic track, and I'll play from the beginning. Let's check out the loudness. I'm going to skip ahead to where a vocal comes in. And you can see that this is getting up towards, fairly loud. And if you look at the waveform, oh wait, look right here. Okay. Look right here. Whoops. It actually almost gets up louder than the yours foreign track. And if you look at the waveform, actually, when this was mastered, you would think that a track like this, they're going to try to preserve the transients and make it as dynamic as possible. But it's actually mastered fairly loud. So there you go. You can do this with any genre that you're working in. Find your favorite artist, download one of their tracks, go buy it, of course, and throw it in your DAW, and then just check out. And then, get Ulean Loudness Meter. It's free. I think they have a pay version as well, but there's also a free one. And you can put that on there. It's really helpful. It really comes down to having a really great mix, by the way. I'm always a big proponent of this, that don't have a crappy mix and then try to just make it extremely loud. Really focus on having a good mix. And if you're making bass music, if you want to have really, really loud music, I highly recommend looking up the clip to zero method. There's a whole series of videos on it by someone named Bathymetrics. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Bathymetrics. If you just type clip to zero into YouTube, if you're a bass music person, and watch those videos, to be honest, I'm just wrapping my head around it. But it's a way to ensure that the music you're making, if you're making bass music, and it works for other genres, but it's a way to ensure that you can get your mixes extremely loud, and you kind of know going into it that it's going to be loud. It's like as you're producing, that the things the sounds you're using are going to work loud, just the way that the clip to zero method works. So anyway, so yeah. Bass music, go check out Clip to Zero Method. Everyone else, find your favorite artist and see what they're doing. You don't have to make it extremely loud. There's some examples here that are clearly in the -9, -8. Personally, I always try to aim for at least -8 LUFS at the louder sections, probably -7. That's what I do. And I also send my music out to get mastered. I have a really good mastering engineer. I don't want to name him here because he's already busy enough as it is. But yeah, find a good mastering engineer. Master your music, compare the two, maybe have an idea of the LUFS level that you want your music to be at, and let your mastering engineer know. And then, yeah, make sure that you have a really good mix before you get it mastered. So I hope that helps, and I hope that clears things up when it comes to mastering your music for streaming platforms and all that stuff. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and feel free to book a call with me, and look in the description below. You can book a call with me, and I'd love to talk with you if you are struggling to mix your music and you need some help with that. So yeah, I'll talk to you soon, and see you next time.